In this video, we're going to see how to use the make part command inside of Autodesk Inventor with the usage of multi-body parts and multi-body created assemblies. So here I have the make part 1 IAM from our working files directory. I also have the make part 1.ipt open, as well as make part 2.ipt open as well. Now, what's going on here is I forgot to create a pin that goes through the back end of this box, basically to keep it all together. It's a very simple wooden pin. It's going to go the entire length of this. So what I'm going to do is go back over to my make part 1 IPT, and I'm going to generate a new solid that represents that pin. So I'll find sketch 5 in my tree, turn on its visibility, create an extrusion using that profile between two faces and planes. We'll grab both sides of the box, and this will be a new solid. I'll approve that, and I now have solid number 16, which will be renamed here with a soft double click to pin. How do I get this pin file that I just created, this new pin solid, into that assembly without having to go through the entire make components command again? First, I'm going to turn off sketch 5 for visibility's sake. And I'm going to actually use a command called make part. This is also found on our Manage tab on our Layout panel. Choosing the make part command allows me to specify from my solid body list the pin component by itself, just that one. So I can give that a new name. So instead of being called part 1, I will call this one pin. And just for a naming scheme, I'm going to call it pin 3. What folder it's going to go into, what template it's going to use, and if it should go into a target assembly. Well, I do already have a target assembly in mind, so I could come down here and choose that. If I go to my list, I'm going to say yes to this. I want this to go into the make part 1 IAM. Do I want to replace that? No. So it's trying to go in there and basically replace that existing IAM. I'm going to cancel out of that. I could come in here and type the name in, which would actually be a little bit easier. Make part 1.iam. I'm going to choose OK. Now over here in the make part 1 IAM, it already placed pin 3 in here for me. Now I'm going to undo this through a series of undos. There we go. So my solid is still there inside of the make part 1 IPT. I'll use this make part command again. Grab my pin. Again, call it pin 3. This time I will not place it into a target assembly and simply choose OK. And this will generate that pin file for me, pin 3 IPT. I'll save it and close this window. Now back over in the make part IAM, make sure you're over on that one. You can see pin is not placed in here. So you can go about this one of two different ways. The first way we did it is we chose a target assembly and it went in there. Now I simply want to do a normal place command and add the pin to the assembly. So I'll go up here to place and I'll go to my directory, find pin 3 and drop it in. As you can see, the difference being this is not automatically put in place and grounded like it would have been in the other methodology. So in order to make this go to the origin, you can do one of a couple different things. Up on our productivity panel, there is a flyout under create substitutes called ground and root component. This will ground that pin in place and also route it to the origin of the assembly for the origin of that pin. So I'm going to choose that option, pick the pin, and it grounded it and routed it for me. If I look in here, you can see it's automatically lined up because, again, it shares the same origin as everything else. Do a couple rotations here just to get back where I want to see it. There we go. Now we can also use make part if we want to create just a part file by itself and let it sit out there. So over on make part 2, I have my casting, and I also have a core file inside of this as well. I have the core solid body. If I expand solid bodies 2, I need to turn on the visibility of this core. I'm just going to rename it and call it core. And on the Manage tab, Make Part, I can choose the core solid, choose OK, and give it a new name. So this will be my casting core and what directory it's going to go to. This does not need to be in a separate target assembly. And I'll say OK. And this will create the core as its own individual part file without really needing to go into an assembly. I just wanted to have it separate as you see here.